Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I've done another coloring page. Couldn't resist. After my last live coloring of Meghan Markle, King Charles came out with this portrait. Very interesting, a strong reaction. And I couldn't resist. Everybody kept seeing these sinister figures in the background, and it's so bold and transformative. So I decided to do a coloring page, as you can see here. And if you would like a copy of this, a download free PDF, you can email me at det@duck.com. I put the link below. And while I was doing this, I did a little search. Every once in a while, I search for free adult coloring pages online, and there's some really fantastic sites out there. And one I just came across today that I also put in the link below is color. What's the name of it again? Coloring.net. You see the link below the video. And I got this great. I had amazing adult coloring pages. This one is a Paris, every topic you can imagine. Highly recommend it. And you can just easily download and print on regular paper or cardstock. I highly recommend cardstock. You hear all the colorists talking about how they love using cardstock. It does make all of your either color pencil or watercolor pencil drawings come out so much better. So this is 80-pound cardstock. I have Spring Hill Bristol Vellum, white, and although it's not watercolor paper per se, but you can use watercolor pencils on it with just a little bit of water, as long as you're careful not to do too much because then the paper starts coupling. But you can use a little bit of water on here as well as any other kind of liquid medium, whether it's markers or whatever else you may use, any paints. So this is a great cardstock for that. So I'm going to be using pencils that I don't use very often. And I wish I should, though, because they're great pencils. They're the Derwent Inktense pencils. And they're very bright and vibrant, and not so often I pull them out. But for this painting, it was perfect. These are just great, bright colors here. I can show you the swatch I have of my Inktense set. Derwent, awesome set. Very bright, vivid colors. Wonderful. So yeah, I'm going to be using these as well as my Derwent watercolor brushes to start I'm going to start doing what I often do is I do a watercolor background, not often, but you can either just use watercolor pencils. Hi, Patricia. How are you? I've got my pop-up buttons today too. It's nice to see you. And I'm going to be normally what I do is I use watercolor background, put one cover or layer of watercolor, and then go over it with color pencil. And it does a lot of work for you. So it saves you a lot of work with coloring in a page. If you just use color pencils, you do a lot of layers. But watercolors, or Inktense pencils are a nice way to give you that quick coverage, basic color here. So the colors I'm going to be using from Derwent Inktense are going to be tan for his face, partly for his face there, and I'm going to be using sienna gold for the background there. There's some yellowish tones in the background. The dusky purple and poppy red. Poppy red, I think, is the brightest red there. So it looks like a poppy red color to me. And golden yellow and amber. And last but not least, ink black. So these are the colors I'm going to be using. I realized after I finished this, I didn't do the butterfly, so I may add the butterfly later with color pencil. Yeah, it's good. Glad you're doing well. Glad you're doing well. I hope you're all doing well today. Again, if you want free copies, email me, det@duck.com. If you want to have your own King Charles coloring page, just for fun. I mean, you have to have some fun with this, right? It's too much. Some of the stuff they do is just Anyways, so here we go. So I'm just gonna start with the poppy. I think this. If you look at the background of his painting, there's like all different colors in there as far as different shades of red and yellow. I'm gonna try to mix it up quite a bit, and I think I'm just gonna just color right on over the other things I put added in the background. I of course added a lot of Halloween type of pictures. Now the great thing with watercolor or ink tints, because you're going to be adding water to it and dissolving it, you don't have to be careful with the brush strokes. So you just sort of gently but firmly just lay it on there because it's all going to blend together beautifully soon enough. Hopefully, beautifully. We'll see how it comes out. Such an unusual choice of rendering King Charles in this painting. Very bold. I don't know if they did that because they felt people weren't taking the hints about their new world order strongly enough. Maybe he felt like he needed to make a bold statement to wake people up. Like, yes, we are bringing in worldwide tyranny. It's happening. The World Economic Forum and I are all on board with it. I don't know. I don't know. It's very unusual type of portrait here. And then the one he did of Camilla was so boring and bland. She looked like she was in prison. They had a bunch of lines behind her, like bars or something. Very unusual ideas he had for their portraits. Yeah. Well, this is a pretty easy coloring page to start off with, anyways, depending on how fancy you get with it. Since he just basically covered Charles and everything with red, can't really go wrong. But we'll try to make it a little more nuanced, right? We'll try to see if we can do that. Red, the color of passion. It's very strange because red is, like, as you know, passion and anger. Like Klaus Schwab said, the world is going to be getting angrier. And they anticipated this. They knew, obviously, their depopulation agenda, in my opinion, wasn't going to go smoothly. They knew they were going to be angering everybody while they act all cool and calm and collected, I guess. I don't know. That's part of their evil plans. I don't know. Alrighty, so here we go next. I'm using the golden yellow. There's definitely some yellows up here, a little bit of yellowing up here. And of course, on his uniform, make some yellows over here. And the medals on his uniform. Put in some yellow with the big news. I didn't look at the news today for the royal family or Harry and Meghan, but I know the big news was that their Archwell is delinquent and they can't accept or give away money from Archwell right now. And it's interesting that the Royal Grift points out that Harry and Meghan met an infamous criminal money launderer visiting with him, flew on his plane in Nigeria. So it must have been a real problem for them when they couldn't exchange any money with their Archwell account afterwards. I imagine there's some money they wanted to be pushing around. They can't do it now. So no wonder Megan freaked out so badly. She had the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, arguably one of the most unpopular governors California's ever had, right on par with Mayor Adams and de Blasio, who everyone in New York hated. Yeah, everybody hates their mayors and governors these days, especially these commie Nazi ones. I try to bring in the tyranny. Yeah, so didn't go so well. But of course, right away, Megan was freaking out. She wanted that money, and Archwell wasn't able to bring it in. So a lot of money laundering not happening, I guess. What I assume she would be freaking out so badly. Have Gavin Newsom defending her. Oh my. Wonder how Harry and Meghan are doing now. Ooh, they were mad. Their Sussex squad are flipping out. They're so angry. They're saying Harry and Meghan should sue the New York Post for publishing that. Oh, they're so angry. Oh my goodness. Because of course you look at the Sussex squad to see what Harry and Meghan are on their minds. That they get directions directly from them. My opinion. So ooh, so angry. Very, very angry. I think Gavin Newsom only brought more trouble onto himself, though. I'll tell you what, bringing more attention on it because Gavin Newsom must be involved in the money laundering too. If he's upset, there's be a lot of people the government has to look at there. Okay, and for the shadow of his band, I'm going to use the dusty purple. I thought dusky purple was a good color for this. It seemed very dusky purplish. I haven't used the Inktense pencils in a long time. It's good to bring them back out and to use them again. So I have to thank Charles's painter here, did his portrait, get me to bring out my Inktense pencils off the shelf here. Let me see. I'll put a little butterfly right here. I don't know how I forgot the butterfly. Right, that was a big one. I'll draw him in now. There is room for him if you draw him in. Not too difficult to draw a butterfly. It's a very simple shape. So like that, just copy what he did. He just did a very simple looking, nothing too fancy here. There we go. And I will put some golden yellow inside the butterfly. There, so there's our background. I'm going to start with that. See, very simple. Get that color on there and get going. And now I'm going to take a large Derwent watercolor brush. My paper towel, always have a paper towel nearby. See if I can get the water out. Yes, these are great brushes. These are like my favorites. I've tried a lot of watercolor brushes, and Derwent and Caran d'Ache are my favorites. So I just squirt a lot of water on there and spread it around very quickly as I can because you don't want the paper to buckle. You just want to. Luckily, the background of this painting is very. We're going to probably do a couple of layers of pencil on here. So this is just the first layer. One layer is like a very thin, so you sort of get a light color in the background. And then when you do a second layer, you get nice vivid colors. But this is a very bright painting. It's a very bright portrait. So, I mean, if you want to get it the same sort of bright vividness, you're going to have to use more than one layer of watercolor pencil or color pencil. And again, I move that water around very quickly. I'm kind of squirting it on there, but then I move it quickly to get it out of the way. The paper doesn't buckle too quick. Get that water moving around and spread out. Also try to do little circles so you don't get too many lines. Try to avoid getting lines. Just do like a squirt of water, just sort of circle it around. That dusky color in there. Yeah, kind of surprising to see that the portrait artist used this bright red for King Charles. You would expect bright red around someone like, I don't know, Meghan Markle or something, someone that's constantly in your face and fiery and burning bridges. Like King Charles, you would expect more, calmer colors, prestige. I would have expected just sort of like the opposite of his personality, this bright, passionate red. So it tends to, it's very curious choice of color for sure, to say the least, right? And the great part about this paper, this 80 pounds cardstock is, it doesn't buckle so quickly under all this water. I'm squirting water all over the place, but you can see it's not falling apart. It holds up very well, even though it's not like watercolor paper. Still stays. It gets a little crinkly, it gets a little warped, but you can flatten that out with a book or something later, but it's very slight, really. Yeah, so there's one layer. I just did the butterfly here. And yeah, not bad, right? Okay, so there's our starts. And when you put the pencil on the first, there's a few granules here that I didn't perfectly. You're gonna see some granules. Yeah, you want to gently put the pencil on so you're not digging in, uh, because then you won't be able to lift it later when you add water. It'll stay there. But you still get a few granules. You'll see. I don't know if you can see that, like on his lapel up there, like this part right here. You can still see little. It's not dissolved, and that's okay because when you go over the second layer, that'll all be covered. So don't worry if the first layer has little bits and pieces that didn't dissolve in the water. Well, I just gotta dry it off first. You have to have it completely dry before you add a second layer. Now it's starting to crinkle a little bit. It's drying. So you can already see it dries much lighter than what it. Now the great part about ink tints is it's like ink. So after it goes on well like watercolor, but also ink. So after it's dried, you cannot lift it again, or very little gets lifted compared to watercolor pencils, where even after you dry it, if you add more water and brush against it, it'll lift up, which is helpful with some techniques. But ink tints is permanent. So wherever you put it, it's staying. It's not going anywhere. That's permanent like ink, which can be good or bad depending on what happens. If you make a mistake, it's impossible to get it up again, really. Just cover, but you can cover it with white or something. That's the first layer. We have so far, but we are far from done. Linda, how are you? Good to see you. I have my, here we go. Hello. Welcome, welcome. So I just started my first layer of Inktense pencils, pencil cover of King Charles's portrait. Yeah, that bright red, that pink, that bright pink, it's like a broad pink that Newton, Winsor Newton makes. And I do have some. I was thinking of pulling it out. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. It's a very bright pinkish red they use. It's not exactly blood red. It's more of this lit up, like glowing. It looks like radioactive, fluorescent. It's fluorescent. His painting looks fluorescent in the background, doesn't it? Like as if there were fires going, or just I don't know what in the background. I don't know what that. Maybe that has referring to the CERN or computers. You see fluorescent lights with computers and whatnot. I don't even think that the Inktense is going to be able to really capture that bright redness. It's just, I'm going to put some pink on here. I don't have, Inktense doesn't really have a good pink color. So I'm going to use a pink from my Prismacolor. I think there's a hot pink in here. I mean, I could use a hot pink color pencil later. I can do that too. But really, I don't even think I can grasp this pink color in the back. Like the materials I have, it would be very difficult to imitate that bright pink, neon pink background. Oh, really? You find it relaxing? Good, good. Glad you like it. Happy to be here. Relaxing people. In other words, it's boring. I get it. It's all right. It's meant to be boring and relaxing. We'll see how it comes out. I make no guarantees of how this is going to turn out in the end. I'm telling you right now. However it comes out, it comes out. I'm gonna add some pink because this is like too reddish looking, and I don't know how to get that kind of. Let me see here real quick. Check out my swatch. Well, actually, Derwent does have a fuchsia color that might work. Yeah, you know what? Because Derwent has, it's not really a hot pink, but it's like a fuchsia. So a light shade of this might work out. Yeah, all right. I'm going to try fuchsia. This red is just too pinky, and I'm so surprised they use this pinky red color. I don't know. Normally it's like associated with girls, isn't it? Maybe I'm being too old fashioned. It just seems like you're doing a portrait of the King of England and you use a pinky red background. I'm like, what? I mean, weird. I don't know anything about the artist, but definitely unusual choices, right? Ooh. Oh, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. I'm gonna use some fuchsia. I'm gonna use some Inktense fuchsia. Let's see if this will brighten up this background a little. Be more like his painting. Fuchsia. I mean, this guy used bright neon pink. So strange. Although I do really like pink and red together, I have to admit. Those are nice. I do like that combination. Very pretty. With flowers or, you know, clothing or something. Pink and red's actually quite pretty together. Yeah, I guess that's as close as I'm going to get. Yeah, I think fuchsia and poppy red is what I'm going with this background. I'm going to add some darker streaks later. This is what I'm going with. A lot of strange things happening around the royal family. Very controversial these days. They were never this I guess I shouldn't say that. They've being controversial, sort of their legacy, isn't it? Drama, 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 drama. But wow, these cancer diagnoses were very surprising, very shocking. Like a soap opera. I've never been one to watch soap operas, but royal families seems to be very much like one. I'm just sort of dropping colors wherever. Can't really complain as doing a copy of this painting is very easy when you have this mixed, mottled, abstract background. Just sort of do what you want. Just mix in some reds here, some pinks there, black and dark purple there and here and there, and like it's going to look pretty much the way the background looks. Much better than if they had done this very detailed looking background of landscape and scenery, and he could have gone very complicated. It would have been much more much more work to imitate it, copy it. So I'm just using poppy red and fuchsia from the ink tints. And just dropping it all, mixing it together, little patches here and there. And I'll blend it together with the watercolor brush. And hopefully the second layer will be more vivid than the first. Although the painting isn't all, vivid, it's lighter parts to it. So actually, let me get all the dusky purple. There's a lot of around the butterfly. There's some, looks like little butterflies coming from the backgrounds here. It's just little dark patches here and there. I wonder what King Charles and Camilla make of all the brouhaha with the Sussex Claude and Harry and Meghan, what they're doing. Harry must be really sick in the head doing the stuff he's doing. He seems really evil. You'd never guess that he was as evil as he's become. Didn't see that coming. But it's definitely showing now. You can't deny it. I mean, he's doing money laundering. He's trying to be like his Uncle Edward, I guess, or his great Uncle Edward, whatever their exact relationship is. Is that like the Queen's uncle? Yeah, you're saying here it's a very interesting color palette. It is too rosy. Yeah, to hang with old masters. It looks quite pink in videos, and he is quite feminine in his mannerisms. Interesting to see where it goes. Yeah, I noticed that about Prince Harry too. Have you noticed that Harry seems very effeminate? And many say that he's in love with Nacho, which I wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, no, he's effeminate, but this color is like very bright. It's very like flamingo. I mean, like tranny kind of color you'd see on stage in a show. Yeah, that's what and pink. Yeah, pink is kind of odd for, but yeah, it's just unusual. It just seemed unusual to me. These like I wouldn't think of King Charles with these colors. You know what I mean? Like, although he does get grouchy, and red is like anger, like Mars anger. So maybe that's it. He does have a temper. You can see that sometimes. He doesn't like the pen he's using. He gets kind of irritable. So maybe that's what the red is for. He is a Scorpio. So I'm sure they say he's a lot tougher than you realize. Like Lady C says that he's a lot tougher than people think he is. I can imagine he is as a Scorpio. I put the Scorpio sign over here to indicate that that's his sun sign, right? I think he's a lot more deadly than people realize. That Meghan Markle, there's this odd relationship between Scorpios and Leos. It's very interesting, but it's also deadly. You know what I think of with the Leo and the Scorpio? I think of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, if you remember that story. She was a Leo and he was a Scorpio. So you saw what ended up happening there, right? So like she self destructs and he moves on. And even though they're both involved with drugs and whatnot, somehow the Scorpio survives, but the Leo is destroyed. And it's all her own self destruction, like you can't. Some people, I guess, blame Bobby Brown, but she She did it to herself, right, with addiction. So you can't really, but he got, I don't know if you can say he got her into it or not. But it was really quite surprising watching her demise, like just play out in the world's eye, you know? I saw her just falling apart, under the influence of the whatever she was using. It's really sad. Luckily, at the end, she did manage to overcome it in the end, but still, I think it ended up killing her anyways. I think she went back to it and overdosed or something. Very sad, right? Another tragic tale, kind of like Harry and Meghan. But it's interesting. You see the Leo and the Scorpio combination. The Scorpio comes out, intact, and the Leo self destructs. So I don't know if Meghan's working for King Charles or if she's challenging him, but she should be very careful if she is, sort of challenging him, pushing his buttons or not, pushing trying to push him around, maybe, if that's what she's doing with Harry or not. Scorpios are very sneaky and very subtle and very patient. They may seem harmless like a Pisces, but they may be methodically just poisoning you little by little and you don't even know it until it's too late. Wow, it took the artist 3 years to finish this, really? Well, he did a really good job with the face. I have to say, he did a better likeness than that statue of Diana. I mean, I don't know. And I'm wondering, he did a very good likeness of the face. I mean, if this had been a normal looking background, this would have been, you know, one of the best portraits you've ever seen of him, right? But I'm wondering if between the Princess Diana statue and this, I'm wondering if there's an intentional. Some say that when they bring in communism, I read somewhere that when they bring in communism, they purposefully make art ugly, right? Like you saw that BLM. I don't know, back when BLM was still murdering people in the streets, they're and by the way, one of the founders of BLM is on the World Economic Forum Young Leaders, and Harry and Meghan support. Anyways, not Patrice Cullors, but the other one. Anyway, so they made a statue to honor BLM of all things in Boston, and it was the ugliest statue. It was from Martin Luther King, I think, or something. It's really ugly. And everything they put up is very ugly. Their art, and so I'm wondering. There seems to be. They say when they bring in tyranny or a dictatorship or communism, they tend to make the art and sculptures intentionally ugly. Seems to be characteristic of the type of thing. So I'm wondering, between the Princess Diana statue and this painting, yeah, I mean, it's hideous, isn't it? It's just awful. And you can't tell me they didn't see that, you know. Um, you can't tell me that they thought that looked like her. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's intentional, possibly. And like this painting of Charles, I mean, obviously, the painter and Charles are both going to know that this is going to get a very strong reaction. And they did it anyways. So it's obviously intentional. So the question is why? Why make all this ugly art so intentionally? Is this part of the psychological disorientation of people to. It seems like they're constantly provoking the public, upsetting the public, scaring the public. is always trying to make the public feel uneasy, disturbed, unhappy, disoriented, mentally ill. I think they're actually trying to provoke mental illness, possibly, make people depressed. I've heard that they really want to diagnose people with any kind of depression. They say doctors are trying to encourage patients. They keep asking again and again, "Are you depressed? Are you depressed?" But they really want to give you one, they want to give you big pharma, but two, they want to have in their records some kind of mental illness on you. So I suspect, and others suspect, in order to use it against you if the government decides that they don't like the way you think. They can turn around and say, "Oh, look, this person has mental illness issues. We need to lock them up," which they also do when they bring in tyranny and communism. So Harry and Meghan being involved in mental illness is very concerning as well. But this art that they're coming out with now is obvious. It has to be. It's intentional and intentionally ugly. It's not inspiring and beautiful. It's meant to degrade and depress and dehumanize. And is it just evil? Is it just them being evil, showing their evil wickedness? Even on Instagram, I mean, when you look up art on Instagram, whether it's color pencil or watercolor or whatever, pen and ink, a lot of really ugly Halloween kind of evil looking pictures mainly. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful artwork as well, but it just seems like there's an overabundance of very nightmarish looking images, skulls and eyeballs and monsters and just really ugly things. Just a plethora of evil looking art everywhere. Should have seemed that way. But these paintings, I mean, between this painting and the Diana sculpture, it's like, ugh. They're not producing great works of art, really. They're producing like expensive. I mean, I don't know. Art is supposed to get a reaction. I get that. But this just seemed really over the top for a king, So I don't know. What do you think? So this is 2 layers. So I got the light right on it, so it looks a little lighter. But when you take it off the light, I have a bright light directly on it. It's a little darker than it may. I think the color is a little more vivid than it looks on camera right now. But yeah, that's a good basis, a basic start here. So, all right, I'm actually going to come back to this. I'm going to let this dry, flatten it out, and then come back. How long have I been on here? 43 minutes. Yeah, I think I'm going to take a break from this for now, maybe continue a part 2 later. And use the color pencils on it. So I think I'll just stop right here. So this is as far as I'm going to get with the Inktense. I could put a 3rd layer on. I'll see. That's 2 layers in. So I think we have a good start here. Good beginning. Take the light off here. Maybe I'll look a little. Yeah, there we go. So there's the beginning. So there's the first parts of the King Charles coloring page. So yes, communism. Yes, they bring in communism. They bring in the ugliest art. Really ugly. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop right here with this now. So it doesn't look so bad when you look at it in this light. That's the beginning. So we're gonna break out the color pencils next time, and we'll go over and finish this off. So there is the start of the King Charles coloring page. And again, if you would like a coloring page to print out yourself, just email me, det@duck.com, and I'll send you for free PDF of the Prince Charles coloring page. All right, so there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed so far. Thank you for watching. Till next time, everyone, take care. Have a good day. Bye.